Good evening and welcome to the Radical Race Series Round 4 live from Le Mans, broadcast on the JPB YouTube channel and also the RRS YouTube channel as well. And tonight in the booth you have got myself and Ewan O'Leary back here after him taking a week's excursion, and now is back in the booth with me this evening. So the circuit itself, we are at an FIA, a Grade 2 endurance circuit. Major events, the ACO FIA WEC 24 Hours of Le Mans, and the length of the track is 13.62 kilometers or 8.467 miles, and currently boasts, believe it or not, according to the official Le Mans information sheet, it currently boasts 38 turns. So there we go. I bet you wasn't aware of that. But here we are at Le Mans this week, and after the last time out at Interlagos, where Simon Edwards took the victory and Mike Bousson was second, Paul Crabb came in third. They are all available back on the YouTube channels as well, so you can have a go and have a look at that. John McCutchinson, good evening, Jay-Z Boy, good evening, Baldy. Zach Sweeney, bonjour, bonjour, ça va? I'm a moderator, I feel special. Well, you should be able to get rid of any of the wonderful spam bots that are telling me to find a couple, or do I need a date? You know, that famous information that I really don't need whatsoever, but they've kind of hit YouTube and it's kind of a little bit annoying. So what is the schedule currently? We are here at Le Mans, then next week we go to Watkins Glen Boot with the bus stop, then we go off to the Mid-Ohio full course on the 20th of October. Rounding out October, we've got the Fuji GP circuit. That's going to be an absolute banger. Then on the 3rd of November we go into Road America full course. 10th of November is Monza GP. The 17th of November is Motorsports. Then the 24th of November is at Parfitt. And then we round out with an order sleeve for Industrial Faden on the 1st of the 12th, 2022. I think it's time, now you've listened to me long enough, it's time to bring in the one, the only Ewan O'Leary into the booth. Ewan, good evening, young sir. How are you?
Good evening, doing very well. Very much looking forward to this race because I've got to say I'm a pretty big fan of Le Mans. As I mentioned in previous weeks, it's not the circuit that you dream of driving at, not in my opinion anyway, and not in the opinion of some of the drivers either. But for me, to race at this circuit is very, very special indeed, and it does produce fantastic ratings. So, yeah, very much looking forward to getting the racing underway very shortly, and the qualifying underway very shortly.
Yeah, we have got 5 minutes 30 on the clock left as well. Phil across the pond, good evening, young sir. Nice to see you in early tonight as well. So thank you so much for joining us as early as you can. So we've got 18 cars currently as well. We're also going to be bringing into the booth at sporadic times throughout the circuit this evening. We're going to be speaking to Phil Glover. So Phil is going to be driving and talking at the same time. And I think now, as ever, would be a good time, if he is available, if he's there as well, to have a good chat with Phil before as we come to the end of practice. Phil, how are you getting on, young sir?
Good evening. Yeah, doing okay. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you very much, young sir. I am very good. I'm nestling in. We're just running through and letting everybody know, that we are going to be talking to you throughout the evenings of racing. How's your practice going so far?
Yeah, I'm just following James Child at the moment through the I think the Porsches.
Yep. You are going through Porsche curves and then going into the Corvette curves.
Okay, you can see me on track, I guess. I
can, yes. I've got you picked up. Probably I should have looked where you was first, Phil, before I pulled you into the booth. But, it is going to be. We'll try and leave you to basically until you're on the straight, I think, tonight, Phil. I don't think we want to be pulling you in and run through a little part of the twisty circuit this evening. But I just wanted to pull you in and have a quick chat. So thank you very much for joining us. I'll pop you back into the waiting room and we will pick you up a bit later on during the race. And you can run us through on how your race is going.
Yeah, no problem. And if you do catch me in between, no problem. I'll come back to you as soon as I can.
All right, mate. Take care. All right, so that will be Phil Glover. He's going to be doing some driver interviews at the same time as racing, which I think is, to be honest, Ewan, is not an easy feat. I've tried it before in an MX-5, and it's a tough one.
It certainly isn't easy. Yeah, fair play to him for agreeing to do that, because I feel like it is going to be a thing that will have to probably remain in this round rather than any of the others, because we do have those long straights, of course, where things are a little bit easier to have a bit of a chat. But even then, it is difficult to kind of get out of that mindset of having to drive and then getting towards the mindset of thinking about your race and talking about it as well. To be fair, though, some drivers find it a lot easier than others. I've certainly had this is more of in an endurance situation, but I've had teammates in the past where driving anything, they don't want to be talked to ever at all. Really don't like it. Don't like talking. Don't like being talked to. And then some drivers are just very willing to almost have a conversation about their life while they're in one of the most stressful races ever. So it varies driver to driver, but clearly Phil doesn't mind too much.
No, exactly. I mean, the fact that he's willing to jump in. He messaged me as well. He was like, James, if you want me to come into the booth while I'm driving, let me know. And I was like, all right, mate. Yeah, I'll have some of that. Obviously, agreeing that we'll pull you in on the straight rather than any other section, So fair play to Phil as well. But don't forget, guys, if you are here, please hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bells for notifications, and don't forget to give the video a big old thumbs up, because we've got some more Radical action coming for you tomorrow night as well, with a Radical Sim Racing World Cup as well. So please tune in for that one, because you're not going to want to miss any of that action, because trust me, it's going to be manic. So we've got about 1:51 on the clock now. I spoke to a few of the drivers, Ewan, and basically it's a difficult one here, because you say you like the circuit. Others will say it's just a few long straights and a few wiggly bits of corner. Overall, though, I don't find Le Mans very exciting. But then I don't know if that's because of my driving ability or just because the races that I've been in kind of haven't been exciting. But I don't know. I can't get on with this circuit. I've got to be honest.
I think possibly the presence of the most famous 24-hour race in the world here does help that little bit, especially on a personal level, making it heightening it a little bit. But even so, I do think it is a good circuit to race at. And there's a reason why it's used so few times in the year, I suppose. It's because it's remained a real special event as a result of that. We don't see a lot of Le Mans throughout the year. I think MotoGP do have a race around the smaller permanent circuit and so on, but I mean it's really not seen very often by the wider world, other than for a weekend in the middle of June. So it's a very, very special race indeed, in my opinion. And it's great to be here for the Radicals, because certainly over the course of 2022, I don't think we've seen this track on the calendar at all. We just, I guess it's not a circuit that would particularly suit these cars in particularly. And they're not the fastest in a straight line, and that's sort of what you need around here. And maybe iRacing didn't think it would produce that good of a racing, but I certainly think it will do, just because most of the races I have seen have produced that exciting racing. So we'll see if that remains true for these. Yeah,
well, Colin Wynn's been in chat and he went, "It's boring, James." That's it. That's all he's put. He's just put, "It's boring, James." So Colin Wynn is clearly not a fan. You know what I mean? They're going around in 3:41.43. We've got 6 laps at the moment. We are just about to go into quali. So we'll see how this all pans out now as well. So you can see on the out laps there as well. Maxwell was making his way out, and a few others. Scott Lear, LeMay, Brown, Underdown as well. So, I think, mate, to be fair, it's going to be hit and miss on what they're going to really... I think the opinion of this circuit is going to, vary from driver to driver, and at the end of the day, me and you have different varies of opinions as well. But the racing should be good. Now, it's been described as a bit of a draft fest. It's going to be whoever comes out in front, whoever drafts, and I think I can only see that going that same way. I can't see it going any other way, and I don't know if that's just my negativity towards the circuit.
Hard to tell, really, what's going to quite transpire. I mean, We don't know what Colin Wynne was talking about when he said that message, to be fair.
It was talking about the circuit, yeah. I think that's a guarantee. Colin Wynne was talking about the circuit. He says it's a spin fest as well. So, Colin was definitely chatting about the circuit there. There was no question, shadow of a doubt at that specific point what he was talking about. But I don't know, mate. I think at the end of the day, we're going to have to see how this one pans out. I think if I was sat here and this was just a bog standard iRacing official, then, we could be in for some, action. But it's tough when the drivers are of a certain standard. And I think what we've got in this league is a very high standard of drivers. And, you're not going to see the stupid lunges down the inside or weaving, all of a sudden, as I say about weaving, there's Luke Maxwell going backwards and forwards, but you know what I mean, weaving down the straights when people are tucked up right behind you, and I'm hoping that there's action, Ewan, don't get me wrong, because I do love a piece of action, but I think if it's just right, you draft, I draft, you drive, I've drafted, it could be quite sort of almost boring-esque, you know what I mean?
Well, I do get the point that Colin Wynne is making, and you're making as well, because especially as I mentioned multiple times already this season, in terms of driving on your own, it's not that exciting. But I do think we are going to see good racing, and we're not going to need the kind of official race chaos maybe to make things exciting on this occasion. And I mean, looking at the practice times that we saw towards the end of that session we just had the end of there, the top 5 were covered by a very, very small margin indeed. Now, there was a 2.5 second gap between 5th and 6th place, which is quite large and quite a bit of an anomaly, really. But we had John McCutcheon, Paul Crabb, Mike Bootson, Simon Edwards and Luke Maxwell all very close in terms of times. And that's going to keep things very close together. The drafting is going to keep things very, very close together down these long straights. And these cars especially are particularly good at picking up the draft like that. So that's going to be particularly helpful for the racing as well. And so we may well see that kind of excitement building and developing. And I do hope at least that we will get a grandstand finish towards the end of what is only 6 laps around here.
Yeah, 6 laps at 3:41 a lap. We're looking at about, what's that, 18 minutes?
I was going to go 20 more.
Oh, yeah, maybe 20 as well.
20.
Yeah, well, we've got John McCutcheon in the booth. I wonder if John's in there for a chat about the circuit. John, good evening.
Hello, James.
Hello, mate. You're in early. You ain't even won yet.
I'm not qualifying, mate. I'm just going to start from the back.
All right.
Well, I can't. I'm not going to make the championship, so I'll just start from the back and have a bit of fun.
Well, we are only in race, 4, mate.
Yeah, I won't make them all. I won't make enough.
Oh, okay. So you're gonna draft everybody and come all the way through to the front and win anyway.
I'm going to pull someone from the back with me.
Well, mate, I am going to be looking forward to this because this is a first here for me and a first for everybody in chat as well, because we never ever see Mr. John McCutcheon sitting at the back of the grid. And, well, John, what sort of lap times you banging out? You were doing 3:41s, is that right in practice?
Yeah, 3:42s in practice.
Okay, so what are we expecting? All right, let's put it this way before I start trying to put, words in your mouth. Realistically then, if you're not going for the championship, where are you going to be expecting to finish?
Tonight? It depends what happens up front. If the 4 guys up front don't mess about, top 5 maybe.
Okay.
If they have any incidents or funny buggers, you never know.
All right, well, I'm down for that. I'm down for that. If you were me 200 to 1 outside at John on the Grand National, I'd put some money on you.
Yeah, I'd have £1 on that.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I'm happy to have £1 on that as well, mate. John McCutcheon finishing top 5. I'm down for that, I tell you what. Not quite put my mortgage on it, John, but, I'd give you a couple of quid if you manage that one. I'll tell you that much, mate. But, it's always a pleasure to talking to you, John. Thank you for jumping in so early on, like. We've got 9 minutes left of quali, so it should be an interesting one. And I think that we were talking about the circuit, John. Give us your overview of this circuit. What do you think?
Yeah, I love Le Mans. I've always liked Le Mans. It's a nice flowing circuit, especially around the Porsche curves. Really nice in this car.
All right, so you don't think it's boring and it's just a couple of long straights with a few wiggly corners?
No, there's a lot of tactics to get involved in, to go down the straights, when you want to pass, when you want to sit behind, when you want to overtake, etc. So, maybe boring to watch, but it's not boring in the head racing.
All right, mate. And fun to overtake and pick your moments. Is that what we're going to see from you?
No, I'll just go balls out.
Yeah, mate. I'm just going to say you're just going to pick them up, stick them in your pocket, mate, and run as far as you can. Yeah.
That's the plan.
All right, buddy. Well, thank you, John, for joining up with us this evening, and we might see you later on, mate. I'll probably have to get your PayPal and send you a couple of quid for making the top 5. But always a pleasure, John, and I'll catch up with you later, bud.
Yeah, have a good interview.
Good what?
Podcast,
I'm going to have a great interview, John. I've had you in the booth, so there we go. Right. No, mate, take care. There you go. That was John McHutchison. Now, that's got to be a first, Ewan, isn't it? Round 4, John's turning around saying he's not going to make all of the races of the championship, so therefore he's going to go at the back.
Yeah, unfortunately, this has been the theme for a couple of seasons now. Unfortunately, McHutchison certainly does have the pace to contend for a championship, but just can't attend enough of the races, even with the drop rounds that you get. Oh, as Paul Crabb goes around, he was on a good lap as well.
Yeah, he was flying.
He was on a very good lap, absolutely flying. So that's going to be pretty damaging for him, although he still has, I believe, one more attempt to go through and try and get pole there. But yeah, shame for John, but it will be exciting to watch him come through the field.
Absolutely as well. So Zach Sweeney, good evening. Le Mans is loved for the event and spectacle, not because it's a good track, at least for me. No, I think variations of that are running through everybody's thoughts, to be honest, Zach. And good evening, Mr. Charles Kellerman. Welcome in to the booth. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. I hope you are well and sitting back and chilling out and ready for some nice flowing radical action as we go into Le Mans with 18 cars on track. So there we go. We are coming towards, we've got 6:36 on the clock currently at the moment. And we've got Simon Edwards on pole on a 3:42. Paul Crabb is in 4th. He's covering 3 purple sectors currently at the moment. Simon Edwards has got 3. Oh no, Paul's just got down to 2 as Luke Maxwell has got the other one. Mike Busson's just gone in across the line on a 3:42. What do we reckon then, Ewan, lap times? It's looking like a very early 3:40. If you can get into 3:42s, you're looking at like being in the top 4, top 5.
It's looking like that right now, but we're seeing once again as the qualifying sessions go on, the track and the drivers just get faster with these tyres finally getting into the right operating window. Finally, the best lap time in practice came from John McHutchison with a 3:41.4. That is a good way faster than where we are right now, nearly a second faster. So that just gives you an indication of how these qualifying sessions are and are continuing to be, really, in this Radical Race Series here this season. We've seen it time and time again. We're seeing it again right now. You need to build up the lap times. You need to build up the speed. You need to get the tyre temperature right, and then you can go quickly. You're seeing that we can't just go out there immediately and be very, very quick. So, yeah, these are the final lap times for the drivers now. We'll see who is going to be getting on the pole position. I was fancying Paul Crabb actually to get pole position earlier on, but with that latest spin at the Porsche curves, I feel like that might have just ruined his rhythm a little bit, and he might struggle to get that back. But I wouldn't put it past him for him to produce a pole position lap very shortly.
Yeah, I was a little bit gutted for Paul because he was absolutely flying there. We'd see Phil Glover go across the line on a 3:46. Nothing for Graham Brown doing at the moment. Luke Maxwell will be our next one across the line, covering a purple and 3 green. So this could be a quick one, Ewan, from Luke, based on his sector times at the bottom of the screen.
Could well be purple in the first little mini sector, which is that run, especially down the hill towards Tete Rouge, through those kind of S's section, through the first chicane, under the Dunlop Bridge, all of that. And Maxwell's just gone quickest again. That's basically just the Mulsanne corner, to be honest. But it does show us that he is going quickly at the moment. Needs to find more than half a second, though. And Simon Edwards is behind him just about on the road and will have a little bit of chance to respond. He's not far behind him, actually, is Edwards, and not on a particularly great lap either.
Yeah, exactly. So here is Maxwell, who's going to be coming to the end of his lap as he heads down now through the Porsche curves. He's going to go right, and let's have a look at the last quarter, really, of this circuit as we're coming through the Porsche curves now. This is turn number 25 before he goes right into 26. And then he's going to be leading us off this 27, 28, 29, all the way through the Corvette curves. Here we go. And then we're coming down towards 30, 31, 32. So it's going to be hard on the brakes. We're going to go left. We're going to throw it in. Oh, no, it's gone round as Maxwell. That has got to be guttering you, because that was going to be quick. He was well on there for an absolutely extraordinary time, as we see Simon Edwards go on a 3:42.35. Mike Bousson is coming across the line at the moment. Paul Crabb goes into pole position at the end of 3:42 dead. Unbelievable from Paul Crabb there, 3:40. He looked quick last time out though, Ewan, isn't he? So he's not really given us anything that we haven't seen already, because he looked quick before he had that spin earlier on.
Absolutely, but I just feared for him that he'd lose a bit of that rhythm and he'd lose a bit of that build-up that you get with the tyres, the kind of temperature build-up that you really need for that really barnstorming lap time towards the end. But it doesn't look like he's really needed all that tyre temperature. He's just gone through and produced a great lap time anyway. So fair play to him for that. That's a great lap from Paul Crabb. And he's going to be on pole. There is always a conversation, though, here at Le Mans especially, about whether pole position is the best place to be. Because if you're leading the field coming out of Tete Rouge for the first time, are you just going to get swamped by everybody anyway? Well, we're about to find that out for ourselves as the race really gets underway in a few moments' time. But he's got pole for now, and he can be very pleased that he's shown the best pace of anybody in this qualifying session.
Absolutely as well. So there we go. Paul Crabb coming to the top of the timing tails on a 3:42.004. And I think that's going to be absolutely barnstorming. He will be pole. I don't think, to be honest, any of the drivers currently out on track are going to get near. John McCutcheon has parked up. Graham Brown there. Is that the JPS livery? That is the John Player Special livery. Wow. Love that one, Graham Brown. Props from me in the booth here. Absolutely amazing. Do love a good JPS livery there, Ewan.
Have I seen one of these before? Maybe.
You haven't seen the JPS livery before?
No. Well, it just looks like a dark painted car to me.
No. No, sir. Your age did. Oh no, that's never good. It was originally John Player and Sons sponsored the Formula One racing team, Team Lotus, from 1968.
Oh,
it was.
In this case, I'm just not seeing it very well. In that case,
because
obviously I have seen that in the past, but. I failed to notice it then.
Oh, there we go. Oh, I was going to say, I thought you're another one who's going to have to go away and do some homework on the...
Zach definitely doesn't know what that is.
Yeah, far too young.
He doesn't know.
No, and neither does Matt Zenith, as we found out in the Next Gen GT3, where there was a conversation about Nigel Mansell, but we won't go into that one. Matt has been away and done his research, but here he is at the grid for race one there, buddy. Right, so we got Paul Crabb leading us off here in first place, Simon Edwards in second, Mike Bousson third, Luke Maxwell fourth, Jamie Bird in fifth, Ben Underdown in sixth, Scott Lear in seventh, Michael LeMay eighth, Colin Wynne in ninth, Paul Clark in 10th, Martina Ward in 11th, Phil Glover down in 12th. So beyond that, we've got James Sherald in 13th, Seth Brown 14th, Damien G 15th, John McCutcheon 16th, Graham Brown 17th, Paul LeMay 18th. I think Paul was actually dropped out, if I'm seeing the message in chat there as well. So I think Paul LeMay has dropped out of tonight's race. Awesome time by Paul. Yeah, absolutely. They had the iconic six-wheeler. Yes.
Yeah. No, I do know that. I just didn't see that particular livery on that occasion. But yeah, I do know what that is, thankfully.
I'm so glad about that.
Yeah, well, yeah, that'd be pretty bad. But yeah, we're about to. Not far from getting underway. Very much looking forward to this race, I've got to say.
Yeah, we're just waiting for a couple of others to get onto the grid. As we say, there is no Paul LeMay. He's had to, unfortunately, drop out of tonight's race, so Paul will not be on there as well. You do somewhat, though, YouTube chat, I do feel somewhat old. And, you know, when the young gentlemen who come and join me in the booth tell me that they can't see it. I'm so glad that you've kindly recognised that you can actually see that, Ewan.
Yeah, finally.
Finally.
Time.
Good. You know,
Got there.
Don't make me feel as old as I already feel now, mate. You know what I mean? So there we go. But yeah, the JPS livery, absolutely impressive from Graham Brown there. So just waiting. As we know, Paul LeMay is not making it on. Here we go, guys. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we are going to be away. And currently there as well, we've got Simon Edwards made a jump on Paul Crabb. Going down into turn 1. John McHutchison is chilling at the back of the grid there. I love to see that from John. But I'm sure he will be making his way through the field very, very shortly. Simon Edwards now takes the lead. Currently Mike Bousson in second. Luke Maxwell third. Paul Crabb all the way down in fourth. That's never good. And Ben Underdown sitting in currently in fifth place. Clean start there, mate. I'm not going to lie. That was pretty good from them guys.
Very clean start from everybody, but not a very good launch at all there for Paul Crabb. Pole sitter, and of course put in a great lap time, but just didn't get that car off the line nearly as well as he needed to retain the lead there. Simon Edwards needed no second invitation. He goes through, and he's now built up a little bit of a margin, but there's just no chance around this circuit to break the slipstream, really, especially not in that first sector. And so he is now going to be right under pressure from Mike Bousson, although he has put enough distance between himself and second place to at least preserve the lead on the way into the Mulsanne chicane, or the first Mulsanne chicane. Crabb coming under a lot of pressure himself, but certainly looks like the top two right now are getting away that little bit.
Yeah, it does as well. They're opening up at about an 8/10 of a second gap currently at the moment, but it is Simon Edwards, Mike Bousson, Maxwell, Crabb, Underdown, Leah LeMay has just taken Bird, and there's a bit of a, I would say, a bit of a further gap back, but it looks like possibly Scott Leah has got Michael LeMay tucked up right behind him. In front of that, Paul Crabb is not getting away either, but here is Simon Edwards and Mike Bousson, and they've survived the second Mulsanne chicane before they go down into turn 14 and 15, which will be the right-hander. And I think, Ewan, from these guys' perspective up front, they've got to kind of open up that gap, but it's kind of not much of a chance, is there? Because you see now, Maxwell's time is dropping. It's below 5 temps. It's going to go below 4, 3. But it's that twisty circuit where Maxwell was losing time. So Maxwell's got to try and sort of tidy up, I suppose, the initial turns or the chicanes and stuff like that before he can really make an impact on the top two.
Yeah, I mean, these cars are reaching almost terminal velocity really down these straights, so it's very difficult to get much speed over the cars in front by the looks of things. The slipstream not quite as strong as I maybe expected, actually. And Mike Bousson almost struggling to stay with Edwards at some points. Maxwell certainly struggling to stay with the others just up in front there as well. But we're not exactly going slowly. Look at that on the right-hand side. Nearly 190 miles an hour on the way towards Indianapolis there. Very, very quick indeed. If these three do just stay in line here, they work together a little bit, they could end up distancing Paul Crabb. He has lost a bit of time, the gap around 8 or 9 temps as things stand. He has gained a little bit through Indianapolis and Arnage, but if they just work together in that front three a little bit, they might be able to put some distance between themselves and the rest.
Right, there has been an incident between Martina Wall and Phil Glover. That is Martina there, car number 23. Phil goes in a little bit hot as he's coming into the... Oh! Was that Graham Brown? No, it wasn't. It may have been Jamie Bird or James Child may have assisted that manoeuvre there, and I'm just wondering if we can have a look back at that on board with Jamie Bird. It was Jamie Bird goes in too hot, hits Martina Ward, who hits Phil Glover, and them guys are spinning round. So Jamie Bird there, unfortunately, becoming, how can I put it, I suppose, a culprit there and causing an accident. But further down, Graham Brown there in the JPS livery. Look at that car. How sexy is that looking? Trying to chase down currently Damien G from Team BSR there as well. As we can see, James Child and Jamie Bird in front of them at this moment in time. But Colin Wynn has entered into the pit lane. Not quite sure what's happening to Colin there. Diego Zuccarelli right on time. Yes, you are. Right on time of the action as it's all kicking off here as we're on lap 2 of 6. Really, that incident with Martina Ward and Phil Glover was all Jamie Bird. There was no outdoing that, was there?
Yeah, unfortunately so. It's not a move that Jamie Bird would be particularly proud of, unfortunately, and just a bit of a mistake, really. Not entirely sure whether, it was hard to tell whether those were really his intentions to go down the inside of Indianapolis like that, because it is always a risky move, or whether he just outbroke himself, really, and found himself in the back of the couple of cars in front. It does happen from time to time, so we'll see on that one. I'm sure he'll be feeling pretty bad about it now, really, but just got to get his head down, forget about that, push it to the back of his mind and get on with his race. Unfortunately, Martina Ward and Phil Glover not really able to do the same. They're quite a long way. I believe they're both actually in the pit lane as a result of it, and they must have both gotten fairly substantial damage, which of course is so hurtful around a circuit where you spend a lot of your time needing that straight line speed and needing to avoid damage.
Yeah, exactly. So the deal with John McHutchinson, well, he's currently in 7th. So there is John catching up to the back of Scott Lear by about, currently he's got a second gap at the moment. So he's been trying to catch up the back there as well. McHutchinson, well, that just about says it all, really, I think, on the end of that one. Look, Hutchinson is quicker than Lear as well, so we'll have to see. Here he comes. That's another place, and that's John into 6th. Well, you know, the Scotsman's flying at least.
I think he could end up driving on his own for more of this race than he would have done if he'd have started up towards in the top 5, really. The top 4 are getting away right now, and McHutchinson would have certainly been a part of that if he'd have qualified. And I feel like if he's going to catch Ben Under down here, pass him, and then not be able to catch the 4 up in front, because when you're working on your own, pushing the air out by yourself, no others behind you or in front of you to assist you, you do struggle, especially against a group of 4, which McHutchinson will be going up against. So I think he might be regretting his decision to start at the back, because at any other circuit he would have had a very interesting race battling his way through the field, but he's almost completed it after lap 2. Yeah,
he's still got, to mind you, there's only a 2-second gap between Paul Crabb and Ben Underdown. So, you know, we're not talking an unrealistic target, are we, when you've got a man like John McHutchinson? But, you know, as you say, you are pushing out a lot here. As we can see, James Child and Seth Brown, they have just swapped positions through the Porsche curves of 26, 27 and 28 here. So that's James Child up into 10th place currently at the moment. And next on his list will be Jamie Bird. So there's going to be some interesting action here as well, because Michael LeMay has got Graham Brown, Damien G not too far behind him as well. And James Child now, for all that is worth, has got Seth Brown tucked up right behind him again. So there's going to be a little pocket of action here, because we've got Ben Underdown really struggling to shift John McHutchinson. We've got the front 4, sorry. Then we've got Jamie Bird and James Child. Jamie chasing down Paul Clark from iLounge Racing there. And Seth Brown, Michael LeMay, Graham Brown and Damien G. So where do you point the camera at first? I suppose it would be on this battle, because it's closer than the one up front. But that's only 2 seconds out, Ewan. So I don't know, you know, the prediction of John maybe driving around on his own, you know, you might not be too far from the truth. But I think if they can maintain that 2-second gap and John can put in the 3:42s that he said, it's a possibility, you know, outside possibility, of course.
There's a chance, but I do feel like it doesn't matter whether it's a 2-second gap, 1 second, anything outside of the slipstream range is really, really difficult to close in when you are on your own. There's just not those sections, those really long sections where you are using that personal ability to try and close in. And even then, McCutchinson's fairly well matched with the others inside that top 4 there, really. Ben Underdown now kind of surrendering to the inevitable already, and the Scotsman already inside the top 5 again. So, I feel like McCutchinson could well be driving on his own for the rest of the race, trying to catch those up in front, because he just won't have the amount of corners to make up the necessary time. Although, if Underdown stays with him a little bit and provides that little bit of assistance in this way here, then maybe there is a small chance. But 2.4 seconds is unlikely.
Come on, Ewan, positive thinking. We want to have positive thinking here for John McCutcheon. You know, the man who starts in the back of the grid and makes 5th place by lap 3 is definitely impressive. However, Michael LeMay is on the right-hand side there. He's just gone past Damien G and is now just... Oh, dear. Graham Brown said no. You are not coming through. And for Graham Brown, there is the ever-closing Michael LeMay as they're coming into the right-hander of 14 and 15. Very, very shortly. We're now side by side at this moment in time. Graham Brown is going to have that inside line. If he can hold it, and then up front as well, Paul Clark looks like he's been under attack from James Child, and nothing given there either. So we'll have to see how this one pans out. But up front, Buson again is closing into Edwards. Maxwell's closing into Buson. Crab's a little bit further out though, Ewan, as well. And if Crab's not careful, he could drop the draft as a possibility at the same time.
Absolutely, he's got to make sure that he does not lose the draft here on these straights, because otherwise, he's going to be out and finishing in 4th place most likely, or worse, even, because then it really is him versus John McCutcheon, and that's not an easy fight to win at all. So even for Paul Crabb, championship leader, of course. So, well, not championship leader, sorry, 3rd in the championship. He's still doing well, he's just wanting to hang in there. It is interesting that those top 3 in the championship are in this top 4 of a group. That, of course, being Mike Buson, Simon Edwards, and also Paul Crabb. Mike Buson leading the championship despite having not won yet this season, which is slightly bizarre. But he's just been the most consistent. And he's got a great chance to win right now, right behind Simon Edwards. The two of them only separated by 1 point going into today, and either of them winning, well, whoever finishes ahead of the other in this situation right now would retake the championship lead. So it's a great situation.
Yeah, they absolutely would as well. And there is John trying to get up. He's got the gap down at 1.9. So I've got faith in you, John. You know, my faith is in the Scotsman this evening, because I think he's still got a possibility of doing that. He's dropped Ben Underdown now. That's it. I think Ben is done out of this battle. So we're going to have to see how this one pans out. Seth Brown, James Child, and of course Paul Clark there as well are still battling away quite nicely. So I think we're going to keep an eye on that battle all at the same time here this evening, live as well. And if you have joined us, we are on lap 4 of 6 of this long running Le Mans circuit. Paul Crabb's off. Paul Crabb's off. I'm going to have a look back and see how that one materialised. I'm hoping it is all on his own and it has nothing to do with John. No, it was all on his own and in the gravel. So that's another place that John McCutcheon has gained, and currently Paul Crabb is down in 6th place. All right, now we're into a situation. John McCutcheon currently 2 seconds out. You know, do you think how close do you think he's going to get? Because he now pulls in some next sector times here and does a stellar job. So how close do you think McCutcheon can get to Maxwell in front? Because over sector 2, he's 2 tenths quicker. Yeah, it balances out with sector 1, but what do you think? On a realistic scale, Ewan, on a realistic scale, do you think he's going to get close enough?
I tried to do some realistic thinking earlier, but you said it was negative thinking instead. It's going to be difficult for McCutcheon. He's going to be close as well, really. He is doing a really good job. There's no doubt about that. He's doing a fantastic job. But and the places where he's gaining especially is in those braking zones. Because if you think about where Buson and Luke Maxwell are right now, they're right in behind one another. And so they're having to brake that little bit early. And this will certainly help McCutcheon as well. If these guys start to fight, then he's certainly got a chance. And he will realise that as well, because he can see them fighting. on the way into the braking zones, of course, Hutchinson has free rein on when he wants to brake. He can go in as deep as he possibly can, whereas the likes of Maxwell and Bousson really can't because they don't want to end up in the back of one another. So it's really there where he's gaining. And just watch through Indianapolis and especially Arnage here as well. Hutchinson's going to gain a few tenths, especially with Maxwell taking the lead.
Yeah, Maxwell's got the lead going into Indianapolis before he comes through into Arnage, and that is Maxwell out in front, Edwards second, Bousson third, Hutchinson within 1.3 seconds at the moment, and this is going to be tough because they're going through Arnage now, and then they got that run down into the Porsche curbs. Luke Maxwell first, Simon Edwards second, Bousson third, McHutchison fourth. McHutchison there is flashing. There has been an incident that looks like it could be between Damien G and Martina Ward here. That is Damien G. We'll have to see how this. Oh, it's going to be too much curb on the exit. Yep. And around he goes. Where is Martina Ward? Because it looks like she's also had her own. Oh, it's not with Phil Glover again, surely. Poor old Martina Ward and Phil Glover are having a bit of a tough time. No, that was all on her own. So we'll have to keep an eye on where Phil is. And we'll pull him in for a chat to get his perspective of that first lap incident. McHutchison within a 1.1. Well, below 1 second now, mate. Below 1 second. So.
What's happened to Edwards? All of a sudden, there's a big gap. Edwards has dropped down to fourth. There's been a mistake here. This has allowed Luke Maxwell to get out front, but he's trying to run away from three drivers working together in behind. So McHutchinson's now in with this group after that mistake. Let's have a replay as to what happened. This is how Maxwell got the lead.
Yeah, he got the lead, but I can't see any mistake. There doesn't seem to be a mistake from Simon Edwards. Nothing.
I think through the final chicanes, the Ford chicanes at the very end of the lap. Well, that's certainly where he lost the time anyway. I'm not sure whether it was a mistake or natural causes, I suppose, if that's the thing. But yeah, I mean, he certainly lost a load of time in that final section.
Yeah, he's not pulling up anything currently at the moment. We have to maybe try and see how far down we can let this run, because at the end of the day, there is nothing showing up on the time screen to see where he lost that time. We'll keep an eye on this because they have only got a few corners before the end of the lap, so maybe he is into the last chicane, and we'll see if Simon Edwards can then find out what had happened to him. Coming in now, the right-hander, we're going to be going left as well. We've got this last little chink down into near the end of the chicane here as we're going through the Corvette curves. So here we go. This is where it's going to be, I suppose.
It's got to be, really, coming into the final couple of corners, slightly overshoots, and then he's going to have a slowdown here. He's going to have a slowdown. So there it is. He slightly went too deep into the first part. The second part, he had to go over the curbs. He got a slowdown. He's had another one as well. I'm sure of it. He's had another one because he's now 2.5 seconds behind Bousson and McHutchinson, who are working together. It must have been through Tete Rouge. It's a very, very common place to get them.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll jump in now and bring in Phil into the booth. Find out, Phil, how he's getting on. Phil, thank you so much for joining us, buddy, as you're going down the Mo Saints. How are you getting on?
Okay, the tyres have definitely gone off, for me anyway. So, yeah, not great.
Not great, not a good start either. Martina Ward, unfortunately, that wasn't Martina Ward's fault. She ended up in the back of you, but it was actually Jamie Bird who tagged her into you.
Okay, I was quite looking forward to today, actually. Well, I'm still enjoying it. Yeah, because I didn't qualify too bad for me. I'm on a very low downforce, but it seems to be, well, up until now, wasn't too bad.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a tough one, mate, because you've been involved in a few little incidents, unfortunately, no fault of your own. But Phil, we'll let you get back. Thank you so much for joining us once again.
No worries. Speak to you later.
Oh, no! Scott Lear! That was Paul Crabb and Scott Lear! Oh, no! Paul Crabb.
Loads of speed lost as well down towards the Porsche curve because Ben Underdown was also able to get through there into 6th place. But you're looking at him there. John McCutcheon's made a mistake on this last lap as well, because he was battling with Mike Bousson earlier. He's now dropped to 4th place.
Yeah, this is how it happened. Gutted for John there, who was absolutely flying. He's still in 4th place, mind you. And then I want to have a quick look at the Paul Crabb incident before we look back. Is this Scott Lear just going in a little bit too hot on himself, do you think? Or do you think the gap was there? No, it wasn't there. No, it wasn't.
Well, I don't know. He was alongside going into the braking zone there, and Paul Crabb definitely should have known that he was alongside, but didn't quite give him the room by the look to me. But yeah, I mean, it was a very close one between the two, and unfortunate as well for Paul Crabb, who's just trying to recover lost points right now. And speaking of lost points, Simon Edwards, a couple of slow-down penalties there has cost him a few points here, and he'll have a 5-point deficit after today if things stay as they are on this final lap.
Absolutely. So Luke Maxwell is taking a white flag. The sign, hard to tell Luke has COVID. Well, you know, he hasn't got to do, you know, there's no running up and down hills or a 26-mile marathon, you know what I mean, for Luke Maxwell. However, he has got to deal with a circuit that is a very long circuit. And, you know, he hasn't got to run it, I suppose. He sits in the radicals for 8.467 miles of this circuit. So there we go. So Luke Maxwell is out in front currently at the moment as well. Is the broadcaster aware Luke is the leader and not Edwards? Yes, I am. Luke is the leader currently at the moment.
It says.
You know what I mean? So we are aware that Luke Maxwell is the leader there as well. John has closed back onto the back of Scott Lear as well. I will keep an eye on the leader. Please don't panic. We will see him cross the line. But currently John McCutcheon is trying to recover back through after unfortunately hitting the side of that radical here tonight as well. So that is a bit of a shame for him as well, because I thought he was, to be honest, I think he might have been there or thereabouts, you know. I've got to be honest.
Yeah, I think I was wrong, to be honest. I think he could well have been there by the end. Really great job from him, though, today to get up the field like that. Obviously, that mistake at the Mulsanne corner there might have undone him in the end. But yeah, still a very, very commendable drive indeed, as Paul Crabb makes a very nice overtake there, although it hasn't lasted very long. Ben Underdown back through.
Yeah, Underdown is back up into 6th place there as well. James Child and currently Jamie Bird are side by side as well as they're running down into 14 and 15. The right-hander before we go down, I suppose, almost, Ewan, the kind of the 4th part of the Mulsanne Straight, this run down into Indianapolis as well, because it's kind of one continuous run, isn't it? From Tete Rouge in turn, well, they've got it at turn 9 or 10. All that run all the way down into Indianapolis is basically classed as Mulsanne. So, you know, this is another part running down into Indianapolis now.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess technically it's on a different road, that's why they classify it different, but it's pretty much exactly the same. And it's a very, very long run down. Even the run down towards the Porsche curves as well is not that short. So yeah, it's all built into the character of this circuit that has made the racing quite so good here today. But it does look like Luke Maxwell is going to come out on top despite all of the trials and tribulations of everybody so far today. And yeah, very impressive that he's been able to do it despite his COVID situation he's got going on at the moment. Like you say, it's not the most physical of activities, but it still can very much affect you, even light exercise like this. So there you are.
Exactly. On a side note, said the sign, Luke did also win Le Mans 24-hour earlier this year as well. Well, he's going to win this one as currently as well by about 3.86 seconds. So Luke Maxwell giving us a flash of his lights as he comes round now. Into the final chicane he goes. He's going to go left and right for the final time. He's going to come across and win the Radical Race Series round 4 from Le Mans over the second place man of Mike Bousson, then followed by Simon Edwards. Fortunate Scott Lear in 4th place, and a man has gained 11 places. Oh, there's action at the back. That was Jamie Bird and Paul Crabb. Paul Crabb, I tell you what, I don't want to get him in the booth tonight, Ewan, because I think he is going to be absolutely fuming with himself and others on track. But here is Colin Wynn. What have you been up to? You've just come up as you've had a little bit of an incident as well. Oh, Colin, unlucky there, buddy. But let's have a look at the Paul Crabb one, because they've come... Yeah, that's not going to be a nice chat if Paul jumps into the booth. Does he just send it on Ben Underdown, though?
It could be a send. Let's see.
No.
Stefanski gets outside line. He gives the spell. Oh, he gets it wrong.
He's on his own. Oh. Better play. Apologies to Ben Underdown there as well, because it looked like from where the camera angle we had, there was contact. But now we've just looked at it back. It is Paul Crabb all on his own. Paul's got to be kicking himself in, surely, because he's had a rough one.
He'll be really, really disappointed with himself in this race. Let's not forget, he was pole position for this one today. He was on pole, but it's all fallen apart for him during the race. A real shame, especially considering the season he's had so far, because this is the first race where he's finished outside the top 5. A very, very impressive record over the first 3 races. Unfortunately, coming to an end here. Crabb is going to be really kicking himself after this race, unfortunately.
Yeah, so Colin Wynn comes across the line, gives us a flash of his lights for good health as well. So much love there. So let's have a look now. There is the current race results. Luke Maxwell is in first place, Mike Bousson in second, Simon Edwards third, Scott Lear fourth, John McHutchison fifth, Ben Underdown in sixth, Jamie Bird in seventh, James Child in eighth, Paul Crabb, the most unluckiest man at Le Mans this evening, is down in 9th. Seth Brown 10th. Paul Clark in 11th. Graham Brown in 12th. Michael LeMay in 13th. Damien G in 14th. Phil Glover, again, very unlucky here this evening as well. Involved in an incident with Martina Ward at the beginning, which was not even Martina's fault. It actually come from Jamie Burrard as well. Colin Wynn down in 16th. Martina Ward 17th. And Paul LeMay, who did not make the race. So... there we go. I think we're going to have a nice little chat with your overall victor this evening. Woohoo! Go Luke, says the sign. Luke Maxwell is in the booth. Luke, how are you, young sir?
That's it, man. That was such a good race. I've had COVID this week, so I'm just trying to recover enough to race, and it was good. That was good. I'm very pleased.
Well, you wouldn't actually think you did, mate, to be honest. All right, to be fair, we were discussing this earlier on between me and Ewan, and we did say that, you're not running up a mile, a 26-mile marathon. We did say that obviously it is quite, how can I put it? You do need a little bit of exercise to be able to drive. Do you get what I mean? I think I'm just digging myself an hole, to be honest, Luke.
I look like I've run a marathon. No, that was great. I really enjoyed that. That was I had practice sort of Saturday. I think I had a little go Sunday morning, but then I've not been in the rig all week until tonight. And it was good to get in there. Kind of fairly early on in the practice and get some laps in, to be honest. And I do like Le Mans, though. It is one of my favourite tracks. So can't complain. It was a great race. I think everyone just kind of made either a small mistake or a slowdown or something of that nature. But I think John had the pace, to be honest. I mean, starting at the back of the grid was very kind to us.
Yeah, well, Colin Wynn has just literally come out and he's just gone, what a crap circuit. That's it. So clearly Colin does not like this circuit at all. He did say earlier on it wasn't his favourite circuit either, so there we go. But look, mate, overall, it's been a great evening for you, isn't it? And you're moving onwards and upwards now within the championship. We're heading on to Watkins Glen with the bus stop next week.
Excellent, good stuff. Well, the championship starts here for me.
Well, there you go. That's all we need to know, Luke. And is there anyone you want to give a shout out tonight, mate, before you leave the booth this evening?
Probably give a shout out to Hutch from starting at the back.
Yeah, but he come through, mate. At one point, he was in third.
I know. I could see him. I'm thinking, I bet he wins this.
Yeah, that's what we thought. See, and then he unfortunately went off at one at the where was he? Down in Indianapolis, I think, or on Ocean, went and hit the wall.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So he. Well, the wall. I say he hit the wall. It was more he scraped the side of the radical, but you know what I mean. But it was still dangerous enough. But thank you so much, everybody, and congratulations on your win. And we'll see you next time out in Watkins Glen.
Yeah. All the best.
Take care. Right, we have got second place man, Mike Bousson. Go on, Mike.
I didn't want to streak.
You didn't want to lose your second place streak.
Yeah.
Oh, you're doing so well. You're still going to be leading the championship.
Yeah, that. To be fair, was in my mind. I forgot to take quali setup off, so I was strategically sat behind Simon for quite some time because I thought myself, can't go too early. And then it's rare for me to say this, but John held me up, and
What?
I sort of.
Say that again. Say that again. He held you up.
Yeah, he had a little bit of a moment. I had to sort of slightly go to one side, got to slow down. I thought, I'm just going to have to settle for second place.
Again,
yeah, all right. Calm down.
no, mate. Trust me, mate. When you win, don't watch it back without turning the volume down, because I'm probably going to go crazy at the fact that Mike Bousson is going to take a victory. You know, what more can you ask for?
I'll be brutally honest. I think you've cursed me because I won in that car a couple of times last year, and I think you're bringing it up too much. You're putting the pressure on.
Oh, so it's all my fault.
Well, obviously.
All right, okay. Thanks, mate. Much love to you. You know, look, dude, we're going Watkins Glen with the boot next week.
Yeah.
It's going to be a good one, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not I don't know. I love the track, but sometimes I've had some howlers on it, so let's see.
All right, mate. No worries at all there, mate. Mike, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to in the booth this evening, apart from that, whatever? Who?
I haven't even thought about it. I've got no one ready.
Right, again.
Yeah. I'll work on it, I promise you.
I tell you what, I don't know why, it just seems a continual theme with Mike Bousson.
Okay, we'll chuck one in. The radical race community in the whole. I cover all bases, don't I?
Yeah, you do. You cover everything. Have a think about it, because if I talk to you again tomorrow night, mate, and you've not thought about it, that's it. Me and you are going to be falling out, all right?
All right, I'll find something.
All right, mate. You take care. I'll catch you later.
Bye.
Right, we got Simon Edwards in the chat, in the interview room as well. Simon, good evening, young sir. How are you?
I'm good. Did you like my terrible driving?
Well, we want to know what happened. We could all put on the presumption that you got 2 slowdowns.
Well, I was just going to settle in behind Luke and just use his toe. And I got a slowdown I didn't know existed in the last chicane. So I had to slow down and lost to Mike, I think, and John maybe. And then I just made an absolute mess of the next lap, and I got 3 slowdowns, not 2, in a single lap.
Ow.
Yeah, I'd lost control a bit in the first chicane, so I ended up coming out of it across the curbs, and that gives you a slowdown. And then I just messed up for a lap, and then got myself back into gear on the last lap, but it was too late then.
Well, look, on the upside, you know, there was 1 point between you and Mike going in to this evening, you know, and you're only 1 place behind Mike. So, all in all, it's not going too badly, is it, currently?
No, I mean, I'm not particularly fast around this circuit, but I'm normally reliable. And I was thinking, if I get a top 5, you know, with a draft train, I'll be happy.
Yeah.
So top 3, I'm happy.
Well, I'm not quite sure what's happened to I was just reading the standings. They don't look anywhere near compared to what I've just had. So maybe they haven't done no, I'm not quite sure what's going on. So I won't tell you that I think you're in 3rd place, but I'm not entirely sure. Because they're not updated in iRacing yet, and I've got a completely different score to what I've got. But, you know, we go on to Watkins Glen Boot with the bus stop, mate. What do you think of that? Do you like that circuit? Because I quite like that circuit as well.
I like that circuit. I don't know how this car's going to go through that bus stop, though. So that'll be interesting.
Oh, that's going to need some testing, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, it is. All right, Simon. Well, congratulations on your podium in your 3rd place. Is there anyone you want to give a shout out to before you leave the booth?
I think you guys, actually, you're doing a great job. I've watched some of your other streams as well now, so you're getting views from me. So shout out to you guys.
Thank you so much, Simon. And take care, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you.
Right, I want to bring in Phil Glover just for the final chat of the evening. Phil, how are you, young sir?
Yeah, good. Did did you enjoy the driving commentary?
Well, it was very good, and I'm don't get me wrong, I'm over the moon that you managed to jump in the car and drive and commentate, because I tried it once before and it became exceedingly difficult. But then again, I was driving around an MX-5 round Knockhill, so not the most easiest track to be commentating and driving at the same time. But
no, you don't get a lot of time then, do you?
No, definitely not. How's your evening in a racing gone? Because obviously we try to keep up as much as possible with you. Obviously, an incident with Martina Ward and Jamie Bird, and then it looks like you may have had a couple of other incidents throughout the race. But overall, where do you stand on your evening in a racing? Because you finished down in 15th. Do you come back even stronger next week at Watkins Glen?
Well, that would be good, wouldn't it? I don't know. I was hoping to be mid-pack. The car was set up good enough to be mid-pack if I'd have got there. My qualifying wasn't too bad, and I was holding my own. It was just a shame that we had that incident, because I think I couldn't tell, but I'm sure there perhaps was a bit of damage. Maybe you could see on the cameras.
Yeah, I think from our point of view, the problem is obviously with the new build models going into this season, the slightest bit of damage can affect you, and it's not always visible on the car. But overall, young sir, thank you again for joining us. Not a bad race. You finished. That was more importantly as well. So regarding your incidents and your accidents. But Phil, we look forward to seeing you in Watkins Glen, young sir. And again, thank you so much for joining us in the booth this evening.
Yeah, no problem, James. Look forward to speaking to you next week. Take care.
Take care. So that was Phil Glover as well. Charles Kellerman. Simon, hi. Hi. Simon's gone, so I'm sorry. Charles didn't tell him. Ewan, last sentence from you about tonight's racing, because it's been a bit of a tough one, and it kind of did turn into what we expected.
Yeah, a little bit. Unfortunately, a slightly anticlimactic end, I think, with Luke Maxwell just being able to get away with that, or without challenge towards the end. A bit surprised about that, really, but obviously a couple of mistakes from a few drivers, like Simon Edwards on the or third from last lap, and John McCutchinson on the penultimate lap there. Unfortunately, opened the gaps up enough for Maxwell to get away without challenge, really. But it was a great win from him. He certainly drove very well, and maybe drives himself back towards the head of this championship, because heading towards today, the reigning champion was down in 12th, which is something you don't see very often. So it's good to see Maxwell back to winning ways again, and hopefully he will be once again throughout the season. But yeah, we've got an exciting championship lined up, and a few good circuits coming up over the next few weeks.
We absolutely have, guys. Well, that rounds out tonight's broadcast there as well. So thank you so much if you have joined us as well. Diego Zuccarelli, The Sign, Charles Kellerman, Colin Wynn with his everlasting opinion on Le Mans, Zach Sweeney as well, and obviously we've had John McCutcheon. So Phil across the pond, thank you so much again for joining us. If you are watching it back, please hit the subscribe, turn on the bells, and don't forget to hit the like button as well. And if you are watching it live, why don't you depart by smashing the like button as much as possible. So that's going to bring the end of tonight's racing, guys. And as always, from myself and Ewan O'Leary, you all take care. Have a great week. And you never know, we might see you on the track sometime. Good night.